So every year I make predictions about the Oscar winners, and every year I am spectacularly wrong. So even though we're not making separate videos this year, we're combining it into all one video. Why wasting a tradition? Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel every week and then movie reviews here at the weekend. All of my movie reviews are spoiler free and I will leave a playlist of my recent movie reviews linked up above in case you are looking for something to watch this weekend. I have reviewed a lot of the movies I'm going to be talking about today, so I will leave those linked as we go through, and I will try and put timings for when I talk about which category in the box below. Yes, I'm not making separate videos this year because I do feel as tired and as run down and as pale as I look right now. It has been an eventful term full of slight illness, as you can still hear, as well as all the other things that go along with teaching these days, and so I have not had access to all of these films, but additionally I have also not had time to watch all of these films, so I will not be talking about any of the nominated shorts this year. In past years I have so enjoyed going to see the animated shorts back to back in the cinemas. Nowhere seems to have done that here this year because I would have made an effort to go and see them. So if you know somewhere I can access those in the UK looking forward to next year, please do let me know, because I am a bit miffed that I've only been able to see basically the ones that are on Netflix, so I don't feel qualified to, well, I'm not qualified anyway, but I don't feel able to talk about those as a whole. So we'll talk about production and sound and editing, then we'll talk about actors and actresses, and then we'll talk about those Best Picture nominations. So stay tuned, we're going to run through and I'm going to give you my opinions on the films that I have seen. So let's start first of all with production design. We have Nightmare Alley, we have The Power of the Dog, we have West Side Story, we have June, and we have The Tragedy of Macbeth. I've seen all of these apart from The Tragedy of Macbeth. Again, really wasn't showing around me. In terms of production design, when I went to see June, I wasn't a fan of it. I will leave my movie review linked up above. However, I did comment on the fact that I thought it would probably win Oscars for production design. And so for me, it would either be that, West Side Story, or Nightmare Alley. You know, those are the ones that kind of stuck out in terms of production design for me. I think it would probably be June, but I would love to see West Side Story win, because I feel like the production design for this one is something that I actively talked about after having watched the film, and just thinking about it now, it makes me want to watch the film again. And so my choice would be West Side Story, but I think that the winner is going to be June for this one, just because the production design really was impressive, and I'm sure that they had a massive budget for it, and that is why. Then let's go for film editing. We have Don't Look Up, we have Tick Tick Boom, we have King Richard, we have June, and we have The Power of the Dog. I have standalone reviews for Don't Look Up, Tick Tick Boom, King Richard, and June. June I've already mentioned, so let's leave the review of King Richard up above. But what I will do is I will put them into my 2022 Oscars playlist, and so if you have clicked on this video, that will definitely be in the end screen, in the description box, and up above. So film editing for this one, I would probably say Tick Tick Boom. I thought the editing on Tick Tick Boom was absolutely fantastic. I thought that the way that they did some of the big musical numbers was just amazing, and I really like this one, and I would like it to win as many Oscars as possible. So film editing, pick from me would be Tick Tick Boom. We're going through these a lot faster than I have done in previous years, if you haven't seen my previous year's Oscars playlists. Then let's click into cinematography, because for me that goes with production design and editing. Cinematography I do sometimes mention in my reviews as well, so I will mention if I've sort of picked up on one of those. Again, this is the same as production design: Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, West Side Story, June, Tragedy of Macbeth. For me, the pick would probably be, my prediction that would win would be June, because the cinematography on that one was fantastic. My personal pick would be West Side Story, because I think that the cinematography is what stood out for me in the difference between the original and the new West Side Story, and I love the cinematography in it, and I just think that it elevated it from what it was to where it is now. And so my personal pick would be West Side Story. Then let's talk about costume design. And I think this is one of the ones that isn't being televised, and so we can sort of go over that one. We have Nightmare Alley, we have Cruella, we have West Side Story, we have June, and we have Cyrano. Cyrano, whichever way you want to pronounce it, is one of the ones I haven't managed to see. I did have a ticket to go and see this one, and then stuff came up at school and I wasn't able to make that showing of it. It's one of the ones that they emailed me like, you seem to have missed some screenings in the month of February. Please don't do that. We've made it possible to cancel up to 2 hours before, but sometimes when you're in a meeting at school and you can't get away, you can't cancel up to 2 hours before. It's wonderful, isn't it? The life of teaching these days. So for me, I thought the costumes in Cruella were amazing. Obviously, it's a film about someone who is a fashion designer. It's stunning. I loved it. I loved it just as much the second time around as I did the first time around. However, we came out of West Side Story and me and my mum were talking about the costumes in West Side Story. So for me, it comes down to a toss between the two of those two. I would say it could go either way. However, again, there's been a lot of noise about June, and so possibly I think that the Oscar could end up going to June. My personal pick would be either Cruella or West Side Story, just for those two reasons. I specifically talked about the hair, makeup and costuming in Cruella, and then I went to see West Side Story with my mum on the Dolby as well. So we saw the costumes in great detail, and we talked about the costumes. We talked about how fantastic they were. I think the costumes in the original West Side Story were stunning, and again, they've just taken that like already great baseline for costumes and just elevated it with what we can do these days compared to what they could do those days. I just think it was absolutely fantastic. We've done cinematography. Let us move on to, okay, so since we've done costuming, we'll go on to makeup and hairstyling. We have The Eyes of Tammy Faye, House of Gucci, coming to America, June, and Cruella. I have seen all of these, and I have standalone reviews for everything except The Eyes of Tammy Faye, because I literally only caught The Eyes of Tammy Faye when it came onto Disney Plus here in the UK on the 23rd, aka 2 days ago, as when I'm filming this video. I thought the makeup and hairstyling on that one was fantastic. You know, in a biopic where you see the side-by-side of the person playing the person featured in the biopic and the actual person in real life, just like for like, it was amazing. Obviously, in coming to America, we have Eddie Murphy playing even more characters in the film than he did the first time, and so the makeup and hairstyling in that one was fabulous. House of Gucci, just stunning. The fact that we got like Adam Driver to look like he did, but then you've got Cruella, and the makeup and the hairstyling in that one was just so top notch as well. I mean, it's really difficult. I know I haven't even mentioned June at all because I don't feel like there was anything remarkable. It's not something that I noticed in the film, whereas I noticed it in House of Gucci, I noticed it in The Eyes of Tammy Faye, I noticed it in Cruella. For me, I would probably, you know, if you made me choose, I would probably choose Cruella, but those other ones, they were definitely noticeable as just an avid film watcher. And so, yeah, any of those winning would be good in my eyes. But yeah, again, June's getting a lot of noise, but hair and makeup is just not something that I noticed in that film at all, whereas I noticed it in Tammy Faye, House of Gucci, Come to America, and Cruella. So make of that what you will. Haven't really I've sort of sat on the fence with that one. Okay, best visual effects. Controversial here. It's interesting, I read an article about how the list of 10 films nominated for Best Picture and the list of top 10 films in the box office of 2021, there's no crossover of the two, and so Best Visual Effects is probably the only place where you're gonna get a lot of like popular big box office hits. So we have June, we have Free Guy, we have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, we have Spider-Man No Way Home, and we have No Time to Die. Again, I have standalone reviews of all of these, so those will be in the playlist, and I talk about the visual effects in them. The visual effects in June were good. They were like Star Wars level good. You did feel like you were on another planet when you were watching the film, and this was coming from someone who really needed to be transported away. I saw that movie when I was just about as tired as I am right now. But they were fantastic. I thought the effects in Free Guy were great though. I remember commenting on them when I was watching the movie. I did not end up seeing that one on the big screen, and that is definitely a regret. But I really did enjoy it. However, I just have to like share some love for Shang-Chi and for Spider-Man for what Marvel is doing. You know, I am a Marvel girl because I love the effects in the Marvel movies. I've watched some of the DC movies and been like, this is too cartoon-like. This is just not believable. Whereas, you know, I watched Spider-Man and I fully believe that he's swinging through the streets of New York. I watched Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and I fully believe that they're like driving through this jungle and seeing all these things that they're doing. So for me, my pick would be Spider-Man No Way Home. But my prediction for who will win, probably June. It's just getting so much chit chat, isn't it? There's so much sort of noise around it. Then let's talk about the best original score. We have Encanto, we have June, we have Parallel Mothers, we have Don't Look Up, and we have The Power of the Dog. I did not really notice the score in Parallel Mothers, Don't Look Up, or The Power of the Dog. Obviously, I noticed the score in Encanto because it's got catchy Disney songs and my class sing them a lot. And I remember commenting on the score of June because I found the music so stressful. Anytime the music came on, I found it really jarring, and I suppose that added to the feeling of the film. It wasn't a personal feeling that I enjoyed. However, I think that what the score was doing for the film was very clever. It's Hans Zimmer, you know, it's classic. I think that my prediction would probably be with June. However, my pick would be Encanto because that's just my personal pick. As I say, did not notice the score for any of the others, which is hilarious. So while we are on the subject of, I'm just looking down because I've got my list here, whilst we're on the subject of best original score, let's see if we can find the best original song. So we have No Time to Die, Billie Eilish. We have what is this? We have a song from King Richard, Be Alive, which was Beyonce. I think that was the one that was playing over the end credits, which again I noticed and I commented on. We have Somehow You Do from 4 Good Days, which again I reviewed 4 Good Days. I enjoyed that one. And then we have the one from Encanto. Sorry, I haven't looked at these beforehand. This is why I hadn't looked at. So Be Alive from King Richard. And then, I don't know why it doesn't go back to where I was. Then Down to Joy. Which film is that from? Oh, Down to Joy is from Belfast. That's interesting. I really loved what Beyonce did for King Richard. But I also really did enjoy the title music for No Time to Die as well. So I definitely enjoyed both of those. I am hoping that when we watch the Oscars, we're going to actually see them be performed. I'm hoping that it's not so pared down that we don't see them be performed, because that was something that I used to really enjoy watching the Oscar ceremony. I'm not going to be able to watch it live this year, but I'm going to try and tune in afterwards, and I'm hoping that we get to see those be performed. So yeah, I think my pick would probably be Alive from King Richard, because I found it very rousing and very inspiring. Then let's talk about best adapted screenplay. Yeah, we've come to that part, the screenplays. So we have The Lost Daughter, we have Drive My Car, we have Coda, we have June, and we have Power of the Dog. Drive My Car and Coda were not ones that I could access. They're not ones that showed in any cinemas near me, and they're not ones that are on any of the streaming services that I personally have. And so I have only seen The Lost Daughter, June, and The Power of the Dog. And so I'm not sure that I'm necessarily qualified to, well, again, we're not qualified, but I'm not sure I'm necessarily informed enough to be able to comment on those ones. But out of the 3 that I have seen, I would probably say that The Lost Daughter is a good adaptation. However, I have not read the book, and so yeah, we're struggling to comment on that one. I wish I hadn't dived into that category. But The Lost Daughter, June and The Power of the Dog, I didn't particularly enjoy any of them, and so that's a little bit tricky. I think probably had I been alone, I would have walked out of the cinema in June, and I definitely did turn off Power of the Dog. I was not enjoying it, and probably should have turned off The Lost Daughter. Also not enjoying it, even though I really, really want to support Maggie Gyllenhaal in this project, and I do like Olivia Colman. So let's just go with The Lost Daughter so we can support some female directors. Then speaking of screenplays, let's go with the Best Original Screenplay. We have Don't Look Up, we have Licorice Pizza, we have King Richard, we have Belfast, and we have The Worst Person in the World. I have not seen The Worst Person in the World, however, I loved Belfast and I loved King Richard. Very much on the fence about Don't Look Up and Licorice Pizza. I adored King Richard so much. My pick would be King Richard. However, I would also be happy if Belfast won. In terms of my actual prediction, I don't know, because Paul Thomas Anderson and Adam McKay, I think, have been nominated before, and so they might be sort of Oscar winning in, you know, you've got your name in the hat, you've taken your ticket, you're just waiting your turn. But then Kenneth Branagh, same situation. So I'm just really hoping for King Richard in this case. Then we have, let's go with Best Director. Where's my Best Director list? There we have Best Director. So we have Jane Campion for The Power of the Dog. We have Drive My Car, we have Licorice Pizza, we have Belfast, and we have West Side Story. I am going to go with Kenneth Branagh on this one, which is interesting, but I thought that the directorial choices there were really interesting. However, I haven't seen Drive My Car, and so the directorial choices in that one could have been absolutely amazing, but the choices that Kenneth Branagh made was something that stuck out to me, and so that is why I'm picking Kenneth Branagh for Best Director. And if you haven't seen my review of Belfast, you could watch that one and see why, and same for Licorice Pizza. If you haven't seen my review of that one, you can see why I'm not picking that one. Then I'm gutted because I can't talk about the short features, but I also cannot talk about the Best Documentary Feature, because the only one I have found access to is Summer of Soul, which I did have a ticket to go and see in the cinema when I was still living in Denver, and then I was a bit poorly and didn't end up being able to go and see it. And I do know that it's streaming on Hulu. I could have watched it on Hulu, and it's now streaming on Disney Plus because it's a Hulu thing. And so I would like to watch that. So we'll see what wins, because I can't comment on any of the others. And you know I love a documentary. Love, love, love a documentary. So let's talk about animated. Again, I cannot talk about, unfortunately, international feature film, because that is something when I'm in this country that's part of a continent with lots of other different countries in. Why do I have better access to international features when I was living in Denver than I do now I'm living in the UK? I don't know where I would have been able to see Flea, The Worst Person in the World, Luana, A Yak in the Classroom, Drive My Car, or The Hand of God. The Hand of God I know is on Netflix, but other than that, I would like access to be able to see more of these international films and more of these documentary features as well, please. UK film industry. So let's talk animated feature. So we have Encanto, we have Flea, which, as I've just established, we haven't seen. We have Raya and the Last Dragon, we have Luca, and we have The Mitchells vs. the Machines. Now, I watched the trailer for The Mitchells vs. Machines because it is a Netflix thing. There are some bigger names attached to it. However, attempting to watch that film at this point in my little stressful life right now, it looked really stressful, and I wasn't willing to put myself through that in order to review it for you here. Now, come the Easter holidays, I might be able to review it. However, I hold my hands up and say I have not seen The Mitchells vs. the Machines, even though it is a Netflix feature. So I've seen Encanto, Raya and the Last Dragon, and Luca. Basically, we're talking about Disney Pixar Studios taking home the Oscar for this one, aren't we? Out of those three, I think that Encanto and Raya and the Last Dragon were sort of doing the most sort of different things, being the most groundbreaking. Encanto's obviously been more sort of widely successful, but I did enjoy Raya and the Last Dragon, and I liked what it was doing, and I liked that it was something different from when we visited sort of Asia with Disney in the past as a continent. And yeah, I think that like any of those, they're nice films, but then maybe Flea or the Mitchells versus the Machines are doing more. Let me know in comments what you think in terms of the animated features, because I think it's a shame that it's all sort of come down to one studio basically. Then let's talk actors and actresses. So we have, let's go for supporting first of all, if I can find them on my list. So we have Best Supporting Actress. We have Kirsten Dunst for The Power of the Dog. We have Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter. We have Judi Dench for Belfast. If you've seen my review, you know how I feel about Judi Dench in Belfast. Why has she been nominated? Why? Then we have Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. And we have Ingenue Ellis for King Richard. To me, it comes down to Ingenue Ellis and Ariana DeBose. I think they were both absolutely fantastic in their roles. I think they were both just so superb in their roles. I'm just going to go with, I can't choose between them. They both deserve to have been nominated for these Oscars. They both did amazing things. They were both magnetic on the big screen, and they both did like amazing things for their movies. They are both very memorable from those movies. They are both so memorable in those roles. They did an amazing job, and so I'd be happy if either of those won in that role. Then we have Best Supporting Actor. We have Troy Kotsur for Coda. Obviously, I've not seen that performance. We have J.K. Simmons in Being the Ricardos. We have Jesse Plemons in The Power of the Dog. We have Cody Smith-McPhee in The Power of the Dog. And we have Ciarán Hinds in Belfast. Again, it sort of comes down to two for me from this one, even though I've only seen 4 out of the 5. J.K. Simmons in Being the Ricardos was fantastic. Again, very, very dry, very, very magnetic on the screen, and a very good job of kind of like feeding into the sort of leading actors and really sort of like making a mark on the movie. But then Ciarán Hinds in Belfast, again, also very dry, very much someone that other people bounced off of, and very much, if either of them had not been in their films, they would not have been the same films. I think I would probably pick Ciarán Hinds in Belfast for this one, just because he gave a very emotional performance and brought out emotions for me as I was watching the film. And that's all that kind of like so picks it for me. But given the fact that we've got 2 actors from The Power of the Dog there, would suggest that maybe an Oscar is going to that film in this category. I don't know. Let me know in comments if you think that is possibly the case. And then let's go on to the leading actors before we talk about the Best Picture nomination. So actresses, we have Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. We have Kirsten Stewart in Spencer. We have Penelope Cruz in Parallel Mothers. We have Olivia Colman in The Lost Daughter. And we have Nicole Kidman in Being the Ricardos. I mean, for me, having just watched The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Jessica Chastain was amazing. The fact that she gives this emotionally draining performance, like she has to be so high and then so emotional, just amazing. Again, Olivia Colman gave a very emotional performance. Nicole Kidman gave a very measured performance as Lucille Ball, and then Kristen Stewart and Spencer, she's getting a lot of buzz, and I don't really agree with it. I felt like she had kind of like two emotions in the film, and that was it. And you know, that's just my opinion. And then Penelope Cruz, I don't think, again, did an amazing job in the film. I just think she was a lead actor in what is a good film. But yeah, for me, my pick would be Jessica Chastain. Possibly though, because she's won it before, Olivia Colman might be the pick for the Oscars. But yeah, I'm going with Jessica Chastain. And then Best Actor, we if you see my review of these movies, one of them I haven't seen, but if you see my review of the other movies, you will know which one I'm going to pick straight away. So we have Andrew Garfield from Tick, Tick, Boom. We have Javier Bardem from Being the Ricardos. We have Will Smith for King Richard. We have Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog. And we have Denzel Washington for The Tragedy of Macbeth. Have not seen The Tragedy of Macbeth, so I cannot comment on Denzel Washington. Yes, for me, it comes down to either Andrew Garfield or Will Smith, and I think both would be amazingly deserving of the Oscar. I said when I watched King Richard, it needs Oscar nominations. I said when I watched Tick Tick Boom, it needs Oscar nomination. And I think either of these people would be just amazingly deserving. Again, they both gave very emotional performances. They both gave very powerful performances. They were both portraying real people. And again, when you see those actual real people on film versus them being played by these actors, there's just it blows you away. And so again, I'm not making a pick either of those two for me. And I think, you know, both of them have been nominated for Oscars before, and so I think that definitely works in their favour, let's face it. Okay, so finally, let's go for Best Picture. As discussed, I have not seen two of these, which I am gutted to have to sit here and say that. Nightmare Alley, wasn't a massive fan, didn't finish it. June, I did not enjoy it. Belfast, I liked it. The Power of the Dog, stopped watching it, didn't like it. King Richard, loved it. Don't Look Up, meh. Drive My Car, I haven't seen it. Licorice Pizza, very much like West Side Story, absolutely loved it. And Coda, so gutted that I haven't seen this one. It sounds amazing. Both Drive My Car and Coda sound like amazing films. They've obviously got all these nominations as well, and anyone that I know that has seen them has said that I would enjoy them and has raved about them as well. And so it is a tragedy that I have not seen them, and I need access to them, please. But yes, there is so much hype about, you know, a couple of these films. But for me, I think my pick would be King Richard. I just thought that film just had me so absorbed and so just so captivated by the story and the story that it was telling, and it was a story that needed to be told. The actors did an amazing job, the directors did an amazing job, the screenplay was fabulous. I love a biopic, and so I really liked it. However, I think that Belfast did a really good job as well, and I just so enjoyed West Side Story. And yeah, so I'm gonna pick King Richard, absolutely, but I don't know if that's going to be like the prediction. That would be my personal pick. But in terms of the prediction, I don't know. The Power of the Dog has just got so many nominations. June has got so many nominations. Coda and Drive My Car also have so many nominations. I do not understand why Licorice Pizza has been nominated here. I don't really understand why Don't Look Up has been well, I do. Don't Look Up has been nominated here because it has every like Oscar nominated actor and actress that's still living, basically, hasn't it? And that's why it's been nominated. I don't think it was doing anything groundbreaking. I don't think it was an amazing film. But yeah, there's been so much buzz about so many of these films. I don't know why there's 10 this year and not 9. It's like even more to see. I would have loved to have seen a couple of these again in the cinema, and I would have loved to have seen Drive My Car and Coda in the cinema as well. I am probably going to leave this video and go away and just watch West Side Story again, because I've been talking about it so much. It's so accessible right now on Disney+. And so, yeah, I think it would be lovely to go away and watch that one again. But yes, there are my picks. There are my predictions. Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're not. I am sorry that this is just one long video of, I didn't manage to see that this year. But sometimes life gets in the way, and I'm really feeling the fact that I can't necessarily go to the cinema at 10 o'clock in the morning anymore. Now I have a full-time job during weekdays, and yeah, really feeling that. And I think that some of these films should definitely be more accessible to cinema going audiences in the UK, please. Thank you. Let me know, please, your predictions in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, let me know, do you like it all being mishmashed together like this, or do you prefer separate videos? I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. I'm sorry I kind of raced through it all, but that is all we have time for. So make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell to not miss out on the bookish content that I definitely will be posting your way this week, and the movie review that I've already filmed and posted for you next weekend as well. I will be back with that bookish content for you in the week. We have some TBRs and some wrap-ups coming your way very soon. So yeah, all that's left for me to say is thanks for watching.